welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have got such a treat for you this evening. We've got the amazing Annwyn Avalon, and she is epic. So I'm really excited about this evening. Annwyn's a water priestess. She's written some really cool books about water magic, and she's pretty much like a major expert in this area. So it's a real treat for us to have her here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Annwyn. We're really excited. Can you tell us a bit about what we can expect from this evening?
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me. So as you can see, I have a bit of a blank space here. I have a corner of this particular altar ready and waiting for us to build. And so actually what we're going to do is create a sacred space with a sacred vessel of some sort, like a bowl. And once it's all set up, then we're going to kind of use it as a focal point and dive in and visit the realm of the Gwragedd Annwn, which the Gwragedd Annwn are basically the Welsh Lake Ladies. In fact, they are kind of the original Lake Ladies. When you think of Lake Ladies, you think of the King Arthurian Lake Lady with the sword. And this is a lake lady, of course, or the lady of the lake, but there are ladies of the lake that actually predate them, their predecessors. It's my personal belief that the Gwragedd Annwn are kind of like the fairy, these lake water fairy beings, and the later stories from King Arthur's tales and such are also these same beings. They're just stories from several hundred years later. So what we're going to do is visit their realm through a vision journey, and dive right in. So first off, the Gwragedd Annwn, that it translates as wives of the underworld, and not to be like it's not a scary underworld. It's just within Celtic mythos, the underworld or the other world is often associated with the fairy realm, right? So this is kind of a two-part. We're gonna, create this physical space for them, and then we're going to actually visit them within the spirit world. So the oldest story, I guess, about these Gwragedd Annwn or Lake Ladies comes from the Welsh book, the Mabinogi. And in this story, which I'm not going to tell you today because we don't have time to really go through the story, but key points here are this particular being belongs to this class of fairy beings or lake ladies. They are water fairy, and they have a deep connection with plants, with healing, with being very liminal beings, going from the physical human world into the subaquatic realms. Now, in later folk tales, we find that the Gwragedd Annwn kind of re-emerge. So hold on, I've gotten ahead of myself here. So we have the original tale from the Mabinogi, then we have the Arthurian tales with the Lake Ladies and their swords and their interactions within the Arthurian mythos. But then we have more folk stories that are collected through 17, 18, 1900s, maybe as far back as the 1600s. And this is actually where we are going to explore, because in one of these stories of these Welsh Lake Ladies, it's said that on Lunasa or Lamas, however you kind of, this time of year, or I guess in Welsh, Calan Awst, however you kind of describe this particular Sabbath, or which word you use to denote this Sabbath, it usually falls around August 1st. And so on this particular holy day, it's said that you can, or you used to be able to visit these lake ladies by journeying to the lake, and going through a doorway in the side of a cliff. And when you go through this doorway, you're able to then go down into these subaquatic realms. And there's many different descriptions. Some people have reported being at these sacred lakes and on this holy day, looking actually at the water, the still lake, and seeing the village underneath. There's one description that even said that there were chapels with steeples and, villages and markets and all sorts of stuff that could be seen. Legend has it that one time a young man actually traveled to this realm and was guided by one of these lake ladies. And she told him that he could visit as long as he didn't take anything back with him. And when he visited, he was quite amazed at this particular subaquatic realm and all of the magical flowers and plants and herbs, and he couldn't help himself. And so he took one flower with him and journeyed back into the human realm. And of course, they knew this and closed the door. Now, legend says forever. However, witches, mystics, folks that are very liminal and can kind of traverse these realms have been able to still visit. So very important. Make sure you don't take anything with you. If you ever get invited to one of these subaquatic lake realm villages, don't take anything home. But today what we're going to do is actually set this altar up first to kind of honor them, venerate them, and let them know, like, hey, we're here to commune with you, to learn about you. Now, there's another story, the one from the Mabinogi, that actually features bread and grain. And it starts out by telling us that there was once a young man that came across this lake, which is called Gwragedd, and it's in Brecon Beacons in Wales. And he comes to the lake, and there's a beautiful lake maiden. She rises out of the water. And she comes to him and says, "Can I share some of your bread?" Because he's eating lunch. And so he gives her some of the bread, and she's like, "Oh, thank you so much. Except this bread, it's too soft. Can you go back and bake another loaf and bring it to me tomorrow and make sure it's a little bit harder than today's bread?" And so, of course, he's just completely smitten by this beautiful, beautiful maiden. And so he goes back home and he has his mom help him bake some bread. And he brings the bread back the next day. And this time she rises from the lake again, and she sees that he's got it, and he shares the bread with her, and she's very happy, except this time he's baked the bread too long and it's too hard. And so she asks him one more time, "Can you go back and bake one more loaf of bread? Not too soft, not too hard. And if you do this for me, I'll marry you." And so he goes back and he does this one more time, and he brings her the perfect loaf of bread. And because of this, they end up getting married. Now, we don't have time to tell the rest of the tale, but a couple of things that I want to point out is in all of the stories that are associated with these lake maidens, there is some connection to sacred cows. And in fact, when the maiden from the Mabinogi rises out of the lake to marry the young man, she brings with her a dowry of cows. In other stories about the Gwragedd Annwn, they often gift white cows. And so if you have a connection to cows, or if you want to give a little bit of milk or something along those lines, you can do that as well. They also have a knack for herbal healing and being able to teach the gifts of healing with plant medicine. So because of these things, let's go ahead and begin to look at some of the items that we have here. Excuse my other statues on this side. We've just got a couple extra little goddesses up here, but our focus is going to be more over here.
Who are the other goddesses, Annwyn?
Oh, okay. So this is just like an amazing little rose goddess that I found here.
Lovely.
And I have a little sun god statue there. And then this one here is a replica of a statue of Venus that was found on the Isle of, oh, I'm going to say it wrong, but it's Scilly?
Oh, silly, yeah.
Yeah, off the coast of Cornwall.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, we're still moving into Chalice Orchard. So for those that may not have known, I just did an international move from Oregon to Glastonbury, and I'm still unpacking. I just got a small shipment of things. I'm still organizing, and so I'm actually sitting on the porch here at Chalice Orchard, which is Dion Fortune's old property. That's where I'm currently living, and part of the reason that I moved out here to Glastonbury. So we just kind of have them sitting on the end here because I didn't want to put them on the floor.
Love it. Annwyn is living her best witchy life right now.
For sure. So, all right. So to begin, I have a little bit of grain here that we're going to use to kind of decorate the altar. And I did pick out a statue here that I often associate with my watery water nymphs, water fairies, water goddesses. She's very Celtic. I believe in the catalog she's listed as Danu. And of course, if you don't have a statue of a goddess, that's okay. You could put a mermaid, you could put a picture. You also don't have to put anything. But I wanted to kind of have her here. She's also got this lovely little scrying bowl, which is going to mirror how we build our altar right now as well. And then I have over here in the corner, I have a little double-tailed Melusine and the Black Madonna, just in case you're curious of what's happening over there. So, all right, so we have some grain, and you could choose however you'd like. You could use rye, you could use wheat. You don't even have to use this. You could use flowers if you'd like. It's a bit late in the summer, so the flowers aren't nearly as beautiful as in the spring. So I thought that this would be perfect. Plus, from her story, we know that she really had that, hankering for a really good piece of bread. So I thought, well, let's use these. Plus, it just is really associated with this time of year, and they're fun. They're really beautiful and fun. So these are for decorations, but let me show you what else we have. All right, you're going to need a sacred vessel, and I have chosen a bowl that I use quite often here. That is actually going to be the center point of our altar. So wherever the center point of your altar is, you want to go ahead and put that here, because that is going to be the focus. So I'm going to take just some of these and fuss around, I suppose, with these, and just put some of these around here, just to give us a little bit of, a little beauty, that looks great. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to need, quite simple here, are a couple of candles. I have 3 here. I like 3s. I usually work in 3s, 6s, 9s. If you have a sacred number that you work with, use that number. If 5 is just your power number, go with 5. What we're going to do here is we're going to set one in the center, just like that. And then we're going to put one over here to the side and one more right here. And that's just going to bring in a little bit of light energy, kind of mirror that beautiful summery sun, and bring in a little extra fire energy. All right, which interestingly enough, though they're lake ladies, you have to use fire, you have to use heat in order to make bread. So, because we can't bake bread without the fire. So that also helps to kind of represent that. Now, I did bring a bunch of bread. And in this particular case, I have 2 different little loaves that I've used. And I kind of have played on the story with a little soft, a little too hard, finding that right piece. And so I've actually created this little dish with the bread, and some of it's a little bit harder and some of it's a little bit softer. That way, the Lake Ladies can choose to have what they would like, what particular bread would make them happy. Maybe a little bit too soft, a little bit too hard for one, you know, kind of like the story. Also, I love the fact in the story that like this old story from the Mabinogi is like the original Goldilocks and the Three Bears, where you know, one bed's too soft, the next one's too hard, and the third one's just right. And that's kind of what we have here with this story of these Lake Ladies is, okay, one bread's too soft, one bread's too hard, and one is just right. So I kind of have played off of that, made sure there's a lot of pieces there, so that we have enough pieces so that the spirits can pick which one feels just right to them.
I think my spirits are feeling a bit hard done by right now watching this. They just got one choice. I'm gonna have to switch it up a bit, I think.
Well, you might have the perfect one.
Yeah.
And that's okay. All right, so the next thing that we have here is a little bit of water. Now, ideal water would be lake water. I haven't actually made it to the lake since I've been in Glastonbury. So I have spring water, which is also great because we know that springs oftentimes feed rivers and lakes. It's fresh water opposed to salt water. And it comes from those aquifers, so those subaquatic realms once again. This happens to be white spring water, and the white spring is full of just amazing water spirits. So what we're going to do is just start out by pouring this right into the bowl. Perfect. All right. All right, we're going to come back to this in just a moment. But before we do, let's light. Oh no, did I grab a lighter that didn't work? I may have. Okay, hold on.
I was about to offer you mine then, and realised it's not. Don't do that. Here you go.
All right, eventually I'll get this to light. Hang on. Can't believe I grabbed.
Come on,
okay, hold on. There's another lighter across from me, so I'm going to give this 2 more tries. Okay. This is why I work with water and not fire. Okay. All right, so pardon my reach here, but okay. All right, try this one. Aha. All right, very good. All right, so, okay. So what we're going to do is just light these candles here. And as you light each of your candles, hang on, I got a bad angle here. All right, there we go. So as you're lighting each of your candles, I want you to start thinking of lakes. Think of lakes, think of water spirits, think of lake ladies and subaquatic realms. All right, got all my candles lit here. Perfect, okay. Now, so as you've begun to kind of start thinking of those things, I want you to take a deep breath and ground out any funky, unwanted energies that you might have. All right. So we're going to bring our attention now back over to our bowl, and you're just going to simply take your hand, a wand You could even use, I have a shower right here. You could use something like this. If you have a wand, you could use that. If you work with your athame, you could also use that. You could simply just use, like I said, a shell or your finger. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an opening pentagram. Now, when I say opening pentagram, the way that you create an opening pentagram will vary from tradition to tradition, practitioner to practitioner. So whatever you feel is going to work for you, your classic opening pentagram, that's what you should use here. If you have another symbol instead of a pentagram that you use to kind of open energy, open portals, you can use that as well. So we're going to just simply create that pentagram in the water. And I'm actually touching the water. So make sure that I'm not actually creating it up here. I'm actually in the water creating your opening pentagram. And then you're going to take both of your hands, although in my case I'm short, so I'm only going to use the one, but in your case, you're probably sitting in front of your altar. You can put your hands right there on the bowl. And I want you to close your eyes and start connecting with the energy of the fresh water in your bowl. All right, you're going to dip your finger in the water and you're going to bring it up to your third eye and you're going to do that opening pentagram again. If you feel comfortable, if not, you can just anoint your third eye. And you'll say something along the lines of, Lake Ladies, Water Maiden, show us your realms. You can take water one more time. Same thing, you're going to bring it to your heart center. And you can anoint yourself there with an opening pentagram or spiral. I'm going with the spiral, just connecting my heart to the waters, connecting my heart to the Lake Ladies, the Water Maidens. I open my heart to your messages. And then one last time, you're going to dip your hands in, get a little bit more water. You're going to go ahead and anoint your palms. Both sides. Put your hands together. You can put your hands in prayer if you're comfortable with that. If not, just hold your palms together. Lake Ladies, Water Maidens, take my hand, guide me through the magic of your watery lands. And as you do that, close your eyes, find a nice, comfortable position, make any final adjustments you might need to. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths together, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Last time, inhale together. Pause for just a moment at the top. And then exhale. And as you do, really ground into your hips and shake off anything that might be keeping you from this moment, from being present in this moment and in this space. Now, if you're facing your altar, you can gently open your eyes just a crack and gaze at the bowl of water in front of you. just a little bit so that it's a little bit foggy. You don't quite see a clear picture, but you can see the outline of the bowl and the water and the candles flickering. Now allow your eyes to gently close once again, but hold that image of the bowl of water in your mind. Now visualize yourself diving deep into that bowl of water, like you're jumping off of a cliff down to a big lake below and diving right into the bowl of water, sending your spirit through the water and in to darkness, into nothing. You can hear the sound of my voice. You can hear the rustling of trees and of pigeons cooing, the wind blowing, but you see nothing. Look around in this darkness, searching until you can find a tiny pinprick of light. Focus now on that little tiny pinprick of light and watch as it becomes closer and closer and grows in brightness and bigness. Watch as it begins to move upward, growing bigger and bigger and brighter until it's so bright. It's as if you're staring at the sun. It becomes so bright, you have to blink your eyes just a little and rub them. And as you do, you look down and you can see your feet barefoot in tall grass, green and lush, the wind blowing it from side to side. You move your feet, one foot in front of the other, and you begin to walk through this grass. You notice as you do, the grass begins to thin, and you find yourself walking on a pathway. Little stones intermingling with the grass and little yellow flowers. You continue moving one foot in front of the other, looking off into the distance at fields of grain, golden and swaying in the breeze. The sun above is warm. As you continue walking, you come to the top of a small hill, and you begin to hear the trickling of a stream. You move towards the sound. Slowly, you see the waters come into view. And as you begin to move towards it, you decide to walk along the stream, tracing through the landscape. You walk as the stream flows towards you, and you begin to move and climb uphill the opposite direction that the water flows, but still following the path that the water has carved. You watch as the water rushes by, little fish flopping here and there, jumping in the air. The water becomes thicker and faster. You can see it form splashes and foams of white around rock. The stream becomes bigger and bigger, and you find yourself soon at the mouth of a lake. You realize that the stream is the lake water flowing downhill, and you reach the edge. You kneel down, dip your hands into the stream, cupping them and bringing water to your mouth, sipping of the water. When you've quenched your thirst, you look up and you see, standing in front of you, a beautiful maiden. She's wearing a white dress, and she glows with a white hue. You look at the long, beautiful white dress and see that somehow it's made of water and is part of the stream. She greets you and takes your hand. You follow her around the edge of the lake, stepping over rocks and coming to the edge of a cliff. As you come to the edge of the cliff, you see her drop your hand and turn towards this cliff. She begins to utter strange words and move her hands. And you can feel the earth tremble under your feet as a door in the side of the cliff creaks open, revealing a dark cavern for you to travel in to her realm. Once again, she takes your hand and guides you through this dark cavern and into the side of the cliff. She snaps her fingers, and a torch on the side of a wall alights. And she takes it, holding it high, revealing a staircase made of stone. It begins to spiral down, down, down into the earth. And you follow, step after step after step. Soon, you see the light glowing from the bottom of the staircase. And you reach the bottom. She places the torch in a holder on the wall, and you step through another doorway into a beautiful, lush, green realm. You look up, and instead of seeing the sun and clouds, you see water reflecting, dancing, sparkling To your left and right, you see lush greenery, herbs and flowers. She gestures for you to move forward. And so you do. You begin to explore this subaquatic realm. Seeing familiar plants and animals, and some that you've never seen before. And you begin to just wander. Not too long after you've begun to wander and explore, you come once again to a pathway, this one of cobblestone, and you begin to make your way through a little village. You see children playing, and other beautiful maiden in white glowing gowns, as well as wise women and old men. You come across market stalls and handcrafted goods, a weaver, and a woman selling salves. You continue to wander, putting one foot in front of the other, leaving the little village behind, following the cobblestone pathway. Not too long after you've left, this little village begin to wander deeper into this strange lake realm. Begin to see trees that are tall and strange, arching overhead, and you're compelled to continue moving down the pathway. You can hear the sound of trickling water once again. And as you move forward, one foot in front of the other, it becomes louder and louder. And soon it's not trickling at all, but it sounds like the rush of a waterfall. Shh. And you look up and see a beautiful waterfall. The maiden that guided you to the realm appears once again and brings you to sit next to her on a rock. You sit with her in silence for some time, gazing at this immense waterfall, defying logic. A waterfall inside of a lake, plants and trees all around. And here she begins to speak and give you wisdom. Perhaps she speaks to you of herbs or of healing. Perhaps she gives you the wisdom of the waterfall. Or perhaps something else. And soon you realize your time here and with this lake maiden is coming to an end. And so she says her final words to you. And she takes your hand and guides you back away from the waterfall, through the tall trees, past familiar and strange plants and flowers, until once again you reach the village. It's a lot quieter in the village now. The stalls at the market have closed. The children are no longer playing. And there's a stillness, a peace. You walk in silence, retracing your steps back until you find your way to the doorway. Once again, she picks up the torch and lights the staircase by holding it high, and you begin to move one foot in front of the other, traveling up, 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 until above you, you can see again a tiny bit of light, and you realize you're coming to the top of a staircase. She guides you through, placing the torch on the wall again. And as you both step through, you hear crunch of gravel and stone move as the door begins to slowly creak closed. You can feel the earth shake beneath your feet as you look at the cliff wall, which is once again solid. No door remains. She guides you along the lake once again. And as you gaze out on the glassy stillness, you can see deep below the shadows of the village and the tall trees. You find yourself once again at the top of the stream where you first knelt down to sip of the waters. This time, she is the one that kneels down and takes the waters from where the lake and the stream are one, and cups her hands and reaches down into the water, bringing it up and letting the water flow over your head, anointing you. As the water trickles down your face, you smile, and she reminds you that you can come this way again. That you can find her realm by retracing your footsteps. And visiting her anytime you like. As you gaze at her, you notice her dress becomes more water than light. She begins to shimmer and become translucent and meld into the waters of the lake and the stream, become one with it, leaving you alone. And so you begin to retrace your steps, following the stream, left and right, up and down, until you find yourself once again passing by golden fields of grain and moving up to the grassy hill. Feeling exhilarated and excited and moved from your experience, you take a deep breath, laugh, and sit down in the grass, flopping backwards, laying in the grass and looking up at the sun. And as you do, you see the sun become so bright that you have no choice but to close your eyes. And as you do, everything around you fades once again into darkness. And so you bring your attention now to your physical body, to your toes. You squeeze them and release. You roll your ankles and then your wrists, and allow your fingers to curl inward, squeezing your physical hands and releasing. Allowing your torso to move and your shoulders to roll backwards, one and then the other. Allowing your head now to drop down, moving from shoulder to shoulder. You take a deep breath, inhaling, and as you do, And feel the air rush into your lungs. And exhale, allowing the air to rush out. Once again, breathing in and exhaling. And finally, one last time, take a deep breath, filling your lungs with air, holding at the top and exhaling. And when you're ready, allow your eyes to flutter open and come back to this time and this space.
That was wonderful.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm looking at the time. I didn't realize we were in the vision journey for so long. I partially apologize for keeping you for so long.
Please don't apologise. That was amazing. Did anybody else try and pick up some shiny rocks on the way out of the cave? I saw some really nice ones in there. That was sublime, and I'm actually gonna try and get you to do that every night for me for the rest of my life. So stay relaxed. Does anybody have any questions for Annwyn, or does anybody have any experiences that they'd like to share with us?
I'm gonna while we're waiting for someone to maybe ask a question or pop on. You said shiny rocks, and I actually want to share something with you. So I have to reach across again. So please pardon my reach here, but I'm gonna show you this here. So I've actually visited one of these lakes in Wales that are very famous for having for being the location that others have documented in mythology and history and folklore. I say history, but I suppose it's mythology and folklore. For me, it seems very historical and accurate. But I've been to Llyn Fan Fach, and I took a nap on the banks of the shore. And while I didn't actually take anything from their realm, you said shiny rocks, which actually made me remember that when I woke up from this really long nap, let me see if I can get it to show here. Hold on. Might have a little. There we go.
Wow.
There actually were little tiny crystals. And I picked up two. I've got one more here.
That's so cool.
That, yes, you can actually find them. And what's so interesting about these little crystals, if you see the little shine on that one, is I searched the banks of the lake for anything, for a hagstone, for something beautiful, just to take home, a little rock, and I found nothing. And then I fell asleep because it was a really long 1.5-mile hike up to this lake, and I was really tired, so I laid down on the grass and I took a nap, and I got my stamina back to go back down to the car. And I decided I was just going to go over to the banks of this lake one more time and place my hands on the water and say goodbye. And as I did, I looked down, and there were the crystals. And they're not crystals that, a practitioner would have left. They're clearly natural. And this was well over a decade ago. Oh, see that one? You can see the little shine on that one. Well over a decade ago, long before my books were published. So the lake locations and all sorts of such, they weren't as popular. But I did want to quickly mention, if you want to learn more about these stories, of course, you can read the Mabinogi for the original, or you can check out my book, The Way, not The Way of the Water Priestess, the other one, Water Witchcraft. And in the section about lakes, the chapter on lakes, are all of the various stories of these lake ladies. And so if you're really interested in learning more, you could pick that up, flip to the lake chapter, and read a little bit more about these stories and get a little bit more understanding of their connection with cows, which we didn't really explore, as well as kind of their nature of being both benevolent but take no shit kind of water spirits.
My kind of spirits, as well as your books. You've also got some courses on your website, waterwitchcraft.com.
Yes.
So do go and check out Annwyn's websites and her offerings, because they are really good, and we're hoping that Annwyn may come back and teach another class for us at some point, if she's up for it. And also you were talking about mythology. Well, the winter issue will be themed mythology. So it would be great if you might want to contribute something about the Lake Ladies towards that. We've got a message in the chat. Here we go. I'm a diver and spent a lot of time in the water. This is beautiful.
Oh, I love that.
That is really nice. It was. I really felt, especially when you're saying that the sunlight was really bright, and my eyes started hurting, and I was like blinking, even though my eyes were closed, and I was like, "What's this?" Like, it does feel like it's too bright. But yeah, it was a really beautiful journey, and I'm glad that you felt the same way. Yeah, has anybody else got any feedback or questions? I really enjoyed that. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Final little things to kind of just finish this up. Feel free to leave the water and the offerings on your altar until you feel it's done. So if you're feeling that it's complete now, you can do this now, or you can wait till tomorrow, or you could wait until after the Sabbath. Your choice, but you can take the water and the bread offerings, and you can take them outside and offer them to the earth. Or if you happen to live near a lake, you could offer that back to the lake or to a river or stream or something like that.
That's so lovely. Or you can water your plants with it.
Absolutely. That's another great way. If you don't have an outside to place the water in, you can give it to your house plants, or your outside plants, or whatever you'd like to do with it. But yes, you can just offer that back to the earth.
Lovely. Thank you so much. I'm going to make the recording available in the members area probably tomorrow or the day after. So if you want to watch this again, just pop in there, and it should be in there in the next couple of days. But for now, let's say thank you very much to Annwyn, and yeah, I hope you all have a lovely day or evening wherever you may be.
All right. Bye everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much.
Bye.